नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति-विकास स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति-वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, welcome back. So we'll be continuing with the Kunti's prayers. We are going to begin from text 37. Apyadhyanastvam swakrute hita prabho jihasasi svit suhrudonujivinah esham nachanyad bhavatah padambujat parayanam rajasu yojitam hasam. O my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today? Though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us, now when all kings are at enmity with us. Just to remind ourselves, so far we have seen Kunti Maharani. She very clearly from the beginning of verses explains who are those people who can see the Lord, what are the qualifications required to see the Lord. She went on glorifying the Lord's beautiful form, how he is related to his devotees, and how he is protecting his devotees, and also the Lords who can really approach the Lord, those who are akinchanas, who have nothing to possess apart from the Supreme Lord. That is the qualification. And she also explained that how as a time those who are offending the devotees, the Lord actually cannot tolerate that. He destroys those who are offending the devotees. Then she also explained the nature of the Lord and how his appearance is bewildering. She explains about that. And also the pinnacle of that bewildering, she explains with the pastime of Yashodama trying to tie the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. And further, she gives very good reasons for the Lord's appearance. At least in 5 verses, she explains why the Lord has to appear. So she has given different reasons: to please the king Yadu, to please the prayers of Devaki, Brahma. Then she also gives reason, one of the main reason, the Prabhupada also discusses that to rejuvenate bhakti in the conditioned souls who have forgotten the Lord. And also the result of rejuvenation of bhakti. What is the result of that? We discussed it in the last class. And the result is that one is able to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. That means service to the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is the Vaishnava understanding, isn't it? Vaishnavas don't, when we say that we will attain the Lord, attaining the Lord means attaining the Lord. Moksham Vishnuangri Labham. So that's our understanding. And now, in the upcoming verses, she is requesting the Lord, you please stay with us. Don't leave us. Without your association, our life is useless. So we will see some of the verses, and again, her pure devotion is exhibited. How she is exhibiting a love for Krishna, we will see in these verses. Sri Prabhupada's purport. The Pandavas are most fortunate because with all good luck, they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. In the material world, to be dependent on the mercy of someone else is the utmost sign of misfortune. Do you remember anything with regard to the Bhagavatam? Yeah, right in the beginning of the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, we saw Prabhupada pointing out kind of 4 defects, I would say, in Kali Yuga, which is actually reducing our duration of life. Do you remember what were those 4 defects? Overeating, oversleeping, trying to satisfy our senses, and then artificial standard of life. And also in that he is speaking about when you are trying to depend on others, just depending on others for everything. That's a very bad thing. And here Prabhupada is pointing out that to be dependent on the mercy of someone else is the utmost sign of misfortune. Why? Prabhupada explains. But in the case of a transcendental relation with the Lord, it is the most fortunate case when we can live completely dependent on Him. The material disease dependent on Him. The material disease is due to thinking of becoming independent of everything. But the cruel material nature does not allow us to become independent. So somebody may think I can acquire a lot of riches, I can acquire a huge, vast land, I can acquire and stock huge amount of food. Whatever you may think of acquiring and then possessing and trying to be so-called safety and security and try to be happy in the material world, you may have so many people working for you also, but everything is going to be taken away. You will think that I am now self-sufficient, I am now independent, nobody can touch me. So, but time I am the destroyer, Krishna says. Follows me. As Kala, it devours everything, takes everything. So, real intelligence is to be dependent, but dependent on whom? Not on any mortal beings. They are all going to die. Nobody is going to give any safety. All this, sometimes they give all these big ideas. You need a good bank balance, you need a good wife, children. All these things will take care of you, will give you protection, safety. But good morning. We are going to we are forced to leave everything in this material world. We came to this material world without anything. We are going to leave this material world without anything. We can't even take a small safety pin. So we cannot carry that. Everything we have to leave. So the Prabhupada is making a point here that, but the cruel material nature does not allow us to become independent. So that's a good point. The false attempt to become independent of the stringent laws of nature is known as material advancement of experimental knowledge. The Prabhupada is making a sarcastic statement here. He's saying that the false attempt to become independent of the stringent laws of nature is known as, that's what is going on. We are materially advanced. Now we are doing the Mars expedition. Okay. Now we have found the latest technology. Now we have invented new medicines. Now we have come up with new gadgets. Well, we saw in the last 1 year what is the great scientific inventions. A small virus has completely shattered the entire civilization. Everyone is mind is disturbed, body is disturbed, whole society is disturbed because of the coronavirus. So that we can see, this is how the material nature responds for our crazy activities. Okay. The whole material world is moving on this false attempt of becoming independent of the laws of nature, beginning from Ravana, who wanted to prepare a direct staircase to the planets of heaven, down to the people of the present age. They are trying to overcome the laws of nature. They are trying now to approach distant planetary systems by electronic mechanical power. But the highest goal of human civilization is to work hard under the guidance of the Lord and become completely dependent on Him. I'll read this sentence again, very nice. But the highest goal of human civilization is to work hard under the guidance of the Lord and become completely dependent on Him. The highest achievement of perfect civilization is to work with valor, but at the same time depend completely on the Lord. Now, this is proper knowledge. This is proper understanding. To depend completely on the Lord. The whole modern civilization, what is the problem with the modern civilization? The whole modern civilization is denying the existence of the Lord, is denying the Lord's power, and it is promoting. What is it is promoting? It is promoting that you have the power, you have the intelligence, you have the strength, you can do it, we can make a better world. But sorry, that has not happened so far. We may say the science has made tremendous progress in the last 50 years. But we are seeing all the so-called advancement of the technology has not really given solution to the problems of the life. Birth, death, old age, disease. They cannot stop this aging process. They may try so many different experiments they may perform, but it has not given really peace among the human society. And that's one thing. Another thing is that whatever knowledge they have gained, that knowledge is completely misused. Misused in the sense what? They have all the technological advancement, all the facilities they have created. That is, they are trying to prove that they can manage their life independent of the Supreme Lord. So, which is a useless knowledge. Such kind of a knowledge is not going to help us in any situation. So, one Vaishnava, he said that, the knowledge without proper character he said that it is like that of a dog's tail. Dog's tail, it cannot cover its back also properly. They cannot even move the mosquitoes away. If you have observed it, actually it's a very good observation from him. He said that, can you understand what is the point? The dog, when it shakes, with this shaking of the tail, you can't even, if you have a good fan, at least the mosquitoes will move out. With that shaking of the tail, the mosquitoes will not move out. That's one point. And he doesn't cover the bag also properly. So he said that knowledge, whatever even big knowledge, I have done this, I have done that, I am now sending this rocket to this planet, that planet, all your big knowledge, whatever it is done, then as Prabhupada said, then everything is tested at the time of death. Then your next life, you are just wow. You are just barking like a dog. That is what has happened in your next life. All your big education, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Stanford University, all big education, but you do not know the basic principle. You have no clue. So that's what Prabhupada is hinting here. Prabhupada is very much saying, what is the use of your big knowledge? You are trying to become independent, but you are not able to become independent. You have become completely a slave of your senses. That's the point in media. So when this particular analogy was given, then one fellow he was just kind of questioning this speaker that you said that in God's creation everything is useful. Why are you criticizing the animal? Why are you criticizing this dog's tail? So when he was just posing a question like that, then he said that everything is useful. Yes, this dog's tail is also useful because you are asking such a question. I'm able to give this as an example. So this dog's tail is useful, he said. And then he just kept quiet, He just sit down, he said. So that was the point. Okay. The Pandavas were the ideal executors of the standard of civilization. Undoubtedly, they were completely dependent on the goodwill of Lord Sri Krishna. But they were not idle parasites of the Lord. They were all highly qualified, both by personal character and by physical activity. This is the point. What knowledge you have, what is your character? There are so many people who are becoming too intelligent, too smart. They can write so many programs at a very young age, 11 years, 12 years, 13 years. They can crack the software without without the password, without the license. Such big intelligence, but the big intelligence is misused for enjoying your senses. Are you using your intelligence to follow the principles laid by the Lord? Are you following the dharma given by the Lord? No. So what is the use of it? So Prabhupada is saying, but these Pandavas were not like that. They were personalities of spotless character. This is the point. In spite of such a spotless character, what is it that they are doing? Still, they always looked for the mercy of the Lord because they knew that every living being is dependent by constitutional position. That is the point. Okay. Prabhupada, every purport is so wonderful. This particularly, he just goes on to explain how we are dependent. The perfection of life is therefore to become dependent on the will of the Lord instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world. Those who try to become falsely independent of the Lord are called anatha, or without any guardian, whereas those who are completely dependent on the will of the Lord are called sanatha. So instead of from anatha, we should become sanatha. That should be our life. So, or those having someone to protect them. Therefore, we must try to be sanatha so that we can always be protected from the unfavorable condition of material existence. Okay. So Prabhupada then goes on to say, like Bahunam Janmanam Ante, then we get the human form of life and we have to surrender and to know Vishnu the Supreme. Then Prabhupada says, all the members of the Pandava family were Mahatmas in household life. Maharaja Yudhishthira was the head of these Mahatmas and Kunti Devi was the mother. The lessons of the Bhagavad Gita and all the Puranas, specifically the Bhagavata Purana, are therefore inevitably connected with the history of the Pandava Mahatmas. So why is that we are discussing about the Pandavas? Because they are such pure devotees. And by just speaking about them, hearing about them, trying to understand their life, we will be thoroughly purified. For them, separation from the Lord was just like the separation of a fish from water. Very nice analogy. We can see how this fish will suffer. It can't breathe. It cannot sustain its life for more than few seconds because it is an artificial situation for the fish to live in the land. It's a nice analogy Prabhupada points out. Srimati Kunti Devi therefore felt such separation like a thunderbolt. The whole prayer of the queen is to try to persuade the Lord to stay with them. After the battle of Kurukshetra, although the inimical kings were killed, their sons and grandsons were still there to deal with the Pandavas. It is not only the Pandavas who are put into the condition of enmity, but all of us are always in such a condition. So how do we understand that? Pandavas were in a very difficult situation. Why? Why the Pandavas were in a difficult situation? They were in a very tough condition. What was this? Because they won the war. Everything is done. Think about it.
Lord was listening.
Yeah, okay, that's one point. Yeah, this is the point I was looking for. Because so many people they have killed, and some of them still have the enmity. That's what Kunti is pointing out. They all have the enmity. So, Lord, we need you. So like that, she's trying to put some points so that somehow or other she can make the Lord stay with them. Now we will see some of the commentary of Sri Krishna Shakti Thakur. What is the conversation that is happening? Yeah. Krishna Shakti Thakur, he is posing a question. Krishna is asking, do you desire to leave us today since you desire to go to Dwaraka? Kunti is asking. Now Krishna is responding, but I have stayed many days. Now I must go to Dwaraka. I have necessary work there. Please give your assent. So you can see in this verse there is a nice word that is Swakrite Hita. What is he said? Krishna says, I have some work to do, some important work I have to do. So many things I have to accomplish. I have to go back there, Dwaraka. And she says, what is it that you have to go and do there? Everything just sankalpa matrena. Just by your desire, everything happens. Why you have to go there? There is no need for you to go there. Kunti very politely she says this. Swakrite Hita. So he says, the Pandavas have created suffering for many kings by killing their fathers or relatives. We depend on you. Therefore, you stay here and protect my sons. Okay, there is another thing that we can understand. This we think that we can be, we have no problem in this world. Everything is fine. I have the power. I have bank balance. I have security. I have children. I have this support. I have that support. So many things we can say. But it's all, as long as we are in the bodily platform of life, there is a fear. Nobody can escape from this fear. This is the very famous verse which we often hear Srila Prabhupada quoting from the Uddhava Gita. Bhayam Dvitiya Viniveshatasya Ishadapetasya Viparyayo Smritihi. So when there is fear, then immediately what happens? There is duality. And in duality, what happens? You start to identify yourself with the body, and the moment we start to identify ourselves with the body, then what? Viparyayo Smritihi. We forget our constitutional position, who we are, why, what is our relationship with the Lord, what is our relationship with this material world. Everything we absolutely forget. So then in that verse, the solution is given. What is the solution? The solution is because of duality, because of you being conditioned, because you are not able to see anything properly, because you are dependent, you are not independent. Better be dependent on a person who is free from all the conditioning of this material world. Tanmayato Buddha Abhajetam. So with your intelligence, engage in the service of the Lord. This is what is the instruction given by Guru Devatatma. So the Guru is giving the instruction, engage in devotional service. By engaging in devotional service, then our lost relationship will be revived. So that is the whole point. So that's why we can see with all the great devotees, all the great devotees are often expressing their affection to the Lord. Here also Kunti is expressing such an affection to the Lord, that my dear Lord, I always want to be in your association. We want to always think of you. We always want to serve you. Similarly, there is an instance where you all know Bilwamangala Thakur also was completely absorbed in the service of the Lord. You know the story that after having taken up the process of devotional service, after having decided to go to Vrindavan in search of Krishna, he was, because of his previous samskaras, he had a lusty look. So once what happened, he even removed his eyes, he plucked his eyes because he's not able to properly see. So that too, and then his devotion became more intense. He started depending on Krishna more, thinking of Krishna more always. So then the Lord, he came disguised as a small cowherd boy, and in Vrindavan he was giving him milk, he was feeding him, he was coming. And at one point of time, Bilwamangala Thakur exactly knew it was Krishna. So then when Bilwamangala Thakur wanted to catch the Lord or embrace the Lord, so the Lord swiftly escaped from him. So then he said, okay, my dear Lord, you can escape from me. You are more powerful. Yeah, I cannot hold you. But if possible, you try to escape from my heart. That is not possible. I already captured you in my heart, he says. So these are all the great devotion that is exhibited. So also we can see when a devotee shows dependency on the Lord, is always seeking the protection of the Lord, always seeking his shelter. We can understand that he is showing the symptoms of Sharanagati. So what is the 6 symptoms of Sharanagati? There is Rakshishititi Visvasho Goptritve Varnam Tata. Always seeking the protection of the Lord and thinking the Lord to be his only maintainer. Isn't it? This is the quality of a devotee. So Kunti Maharaj is exhibiting that. She says, so my dear Lord, we need your protection. We want you. We want you to be here. And she doesn't go to anyone else. Ekanta Bhakti. Not to anybody else. This is also a famous verse which explains when we get into duality, Shvalangulena Atitararti Sindhum. So it is like if we are not sufficiently knowledgeable, if we are not sufficiently intelligent, then what we will try to do, we will try to take shelter here and there, some other place. We will try to take shelter from some other demigod, some other powerful person. But Bhagavatam says that if someone is trying to take shelter from someone else, and that kind of a shelter is compared to trying to cross the ocean by holding to the tail of a dog. So just imagine if somebody is throwing you in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And no problem, I will protect myself. You are trying to catch the tail of a dog. Good luck. That's all can be said. You can't. This is what it is. This is what it's speaking of. Trying to take help from anyone else other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then Bhagavatam says, Samashrita ye pada pallava plavam mahatpadam punyesho murare. So this same big gigantic ocean which is impossible to cross becomes very easy because that mahat big ocean has become vatsapalam. It has become so small so that when a calf, when it puts its feet on the ground, how much space it is going to occupy? So small, so one can easily jump. You can easily cross the ocean. So that's the Bhagavatam's explanation. So these are all the qualities we can see of dependence, seeking for complete protection and expecting the Lord only to be the maintainer. So this is all angas of bhakti or sharanagati. Okay. So yeah, this is one other interesting point. So that's why to increase this consciousness of depending on the Lord, always thinking of Him, always trying to engage in His service, to bring us to that platform, we have rules and regulations in our Krishna consciousness movement. We have in the bhakti process, we have rules and regulations. The aim of the rules and regulations is for what? To become Krishna conscious. That's the whole point. So that is why a question is International Society for Krishna Consciousness or International Society for Rules and Regulations, where we have rules and regulations specifically to enhance our consciousness towards Krishna. That's the whole point. And you cannot neglect that as well. Sometimes only if you just speak of rules and regulations, all these rules and regulations help us to raise our consciousness to be in Sattva Guna, and then from Sattva we raise ourselves to the Sattva. And this is, so if you say only rules and regulations, this is another extreme. And if you just say, it's all just love of Krishna, we have developed love. Let's just really love. Love doesn't come like that. Because there is only lust. Because your intelligence is completely covered. So we have to understand why we are doing what we are doing. I'm chanting. Why you are chanting? I'm doing puja. Why you are doing puja? I'm learning Sanskrit. Why am I learning Sanskrit? I'm driving car. Why am I driving car? For a devotee, everything matters. Everything is for pleasing Krishna. And for that, he does everything with proper care. Keeping that in the, as I said, Krishnarte Akila Cheshta. This is the whole principle. So that has to be understood. Okay. Text 38. Kevayam nama rupabhyam yadubhi saha pandavaha bhavato darshanam yarhi rishikanam iveshituhu. As the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities along with the Pandavas and Yadus will end at once. Kunti Devi is quite aware that the existence of the Pandavas is due to Sri Krishna only. Just one immediate incident comes to mind from the Mahabharata. When Krishna and Arjuna, after the war is over, Krishna got down from the chariot and he asked Arjuna also to get down from the chariot. When both of them got down from the chariot, what happened? The chariot was bursted, just blasted and it just burst in pieces. So then, of course, Arjuna is a pure devotee, he knew it's all by Krishna's mercy only. And then you can see everything was held by Krishna. Krishna held everything. Krishna was a full support. By his mercy, everything they had victory. By his mercy, they were able to attack the opponents. By his mercy, they could get a proper intelligence to perform proper activities at the proper time. That was shown. So here Prabhupada is beginning the purport like this. Kunti Devi is quite aware that the existence of the Pandavas is due to Sri Krishna only. Right? We can just see from all the previous prayers that she was saying how, my dear Lord, how you have protected us in so many different situations. The Pandavas are undoubtedly well established in name and fame and are guided by the great king Yudhishthira, who is morality personified. And the Yadus are undoubtedly great allies. But without the guidance of Lord Krishna, all of them are non-entities, as much as the senses of the body are useless without the guidance of consciousness. That's again, what is that? Mandalam Lokaranjanam. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastra Japas Tapaha Apranasyaiva Dehasya Mandalam Lokaranjanam. So that's the whole thing. How the dead body will be decorated with latest cosmetic materials, but whatever decoration you do, you decorate it with flour, you decorate it with the golden jewels, you decorate it with the embedded emeralds, pearls, and all the latest ornaments. It is just decorating a dead body, that's all, no use. So see, this is the expression here Kunti is saying. She's saying that what is the use of all this fame, name and this kingdom and everything? Without you, it's all just useless. It's not so easy to offer a prayer like this. It's not so easy. One should have such a realization to feel that it is all by Krishna's presence. How many in this world are recognizing Krishna's supremacy like this? The moment we do something, the moment we achieve something, the moment we create something, we feel that it's all my talent, it's all my ability, it's all my intelligence. But here Kunti Maharani is very much, she's very much recognizing that it is all, my dear Lord, it is all just because of your mercy. Okay. Prabhupada says, no one should be proud of his prestige, power and fame without being guided by the favor of the Supreme Lord. The living beings are always dependent, and the ultimate dependable object is the Lord Himself. See, Prabhupada, we can see in many lectures and several conversations, he was always trying to drive the point that we are being controlled. He always brings this point. This is a very good sign by which we can understand that when we come to the point that we are being controlled, then the next step goes, if we are controlled, then that means we are under the control of someone. This makes us think. So that means we are under control of what? So that's the point. You may say nature, and then when you dig further, where does the nature? How the nature is working? Where it is it hanging in the air? Where it is? What is controlling the nature? Next question, isn't it? So Prabhupada is making a point here that the living beings are always dependent, and the ultimate dependable object is the Lord Himself. And this is the entire defect of the modern society. We are ignoring the Lord, and we are hiding the Lord, we are covering the Lord, we don't want to bring Him to the picture. Why can you think? What is the problem? Why in the modern civilization has become like that? Why it is trying to cover up the Lord, why this dependency on the Lord is completely erased from the society. What is the reason? Can you think about it? It's a good point. It's a very good point. So that we can enjoy it. What is the problem? We can also enjoy if the Lord is there. What is the problem? Independence is reduced. The whole idea of leaving the material world, spiritual world, to come to the material world is to enjoy separate from the Lord, because we want to. Maybe we are trying. Can we just become Lord here? That is the whole idea. I want to be Lord. I want to be the Lord of whatever that I survey. That's the idea with which we came here. So, if you just see the Lord somewhere, if you see any instruction of the Lord, that is giving a big hindrance to your sense gratificatory approach. This is the problem. One rascal, he told me that he was watching some film in the TV. So he said that above the TV there was a photo of Krishna and his Guru, and then he thought, "Oh, what do I do? What do I do?" He was thinking so much, and then he said, "Oh, very good idea. I remove these two photos and put it in some other room, keep it upside down. Now I can watch TV peacefully." So he was watching and enjoying like that. This is what is actually happening. We want to put Krishna on the side somewhere, cover him up. We think we will now we have closed it. Now the Lord does not exist. But then he told me later, there was some kind of a guilty feeling for him. Somehow he came in touch with Krishna consciousness. He was practicing. He was influenced by Maya at that time very much. So he thought it is super. Then he himself realized, what a foolishness I did. I thought I'm super intelligent. Now I covered up Krishna and Guru so that they will not see. But they are just watching all the time. We just heard in the other verse also. So the Lord is watching everything, every small thing that is happening. He is Sarvagya. He knows everything. So we cannot go to this is the pitiable situation. You may think, let me go and then hide somewhere in some corner in the universe so that the Lord will not see me. You cannot. He is there. He is present in every single atom. He knows exactly what is happening. So better to purify our intelligence, purify our polluted mind, and offer ourselves to the Lord. That's what we learn from Kunti's prayer. Okay. We may therefore invent, Prabhupada says, by our advancement of material knowledge all sorts of counteracting material resources. But without being guided by the Lord, all such inventions end in fiasco, however strong and stout the reactionary elements may be. This is an interesting point. Fiasco means it's all in miserable failure, you could say. Miserable failure. However strong and stout the reactionary elements may be. So that's the whole point. All our ventures, all our attempts will actually end up in failure, because it is not, we are not executing it in line with the wishes of the Lord. This is the whole point. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, interesting point he puts forward. He says, but Bhima and Arjuna, your sons are very powerful, he says. The king is Dharma personified and the Yadavas are your friends, so you have no worries. Why? What is the problem for you? His question. But then, Kunti Maharaji says, who are we Pandavas with the Yadus having fame and ability, Nama and Rupa, without your presence? Similarly, without the presence of the Jiva, the senses have no significance of power. So that's when she responds like this. She gives the answer like this. Are you able to follow? Okay. Now this is something for us to contemplate and think. We may see how can someone even think. Sometimes we can see people who are really very atheistic, have a very negative opinion about anything to do with theism and like that. Their whole thinking is completely different. Their whole thinking is completely demoniac thinking they have. So even just right from the Mahabharata, we can see the incident. There's a diametrically opposite. You understand? Diametrically opposite is one object is here and another object is here. It's completely in opposite direction they are placed. So the point is that a devotee's thinking and a non-devotee's thinking, they are completely different. That's what Krishna also says in the Gita, no? Yanisha sarva bhutanam sasyam Yasyam Jagrati Samyami, Yasyam Jagrati Samyamya Sanisho Pashyato. So, Krishna, so the night for the sadhu is the day for the materialist. The day for the materialist is the night for the sadhu. Complete. This is a characteristic. You cannot put these two things together. You put oil in the water, you may mix it very powerful with a big stirring. You mix after all mixing. I've done a great job. And you can see oil floating separately, water is there separate. It will not mix. No way. So similarly, we see, just to take this example of this right in the Mahabharata when Duryodhana and Arjuna, both of them came to see Krishna to ask him for favor. And what happened at the end? I'm not narrating the entire story, just to make it very brief. Krishna said that when I just wake up, I'm going to take a little rest now. Both of you have come for favor. I'm aware of that, but I'm going to take a little rest. And when I wake up, whomsoever I see the first, I will first take up the question and I will try to answer them. So Duryodhana was super intelligent. He was sitting right in front of the head. He was just waiting when Krishna will open his eyes. And Arjuna, he took a very humble position. He just sat at the feet of the Lord. And obviously, when anybody who wakes up, they will just look at this, because nobody is going to just turn. They are going to just, when open, obviously his feet will be the first thing to be seen. Anyway, so Krishna just asked Arjuna, so what do you want? And immediately Arjuna said, my dear Lord, I just want you, nothing else. I don't want your army, nothing. I just want you. And then this is the whole point. Duryodhana was thinking, oh, what a fool he is. How can he even dare to ask like this? This is the problem. They can't see. They cannot see. They have no idea. He was again thinking, what went wrong? How can... At the same time, he was very happy. He was, very nice. He didn't ask about his army. Great, I just got the army. So, Prabhupada once when I think devotees were discussing, the scientists, actually this I heard one time from one of the lectures of Suhotra Maharaj. He said that in Japan, they were doing some research. And what they do is, from the stool, they take some nutrients. And they make some preparation, Anyway, you all took breakfast already, but I will tell this. And they took they eat some nutrients. They take some preparation they make. I don't remember the details of it. I did not have sufficient time to research on that. But it is nowadays. They are doing all kinds of crazy things. And on something similar incident that happened when Prabhupada was in the US. When Prabhupada heard this, Prabhupada was, he was just stunned to know what a crazy thinking they are having. Why at all of everything in this world, why at all they have to try something like this? This is a demoniac mentality. They want to try something crazy like this. So Prabhupada was just wondering, he was just amazed. How is that? They are doing something like this. So a devotee, it's not that he cannot understand. Sometimes we see, a devotee he cannot understand why this fellow is so atheistic, so envious. But he understands he is completely covered by the modes. At the same time, he is surprised to see that. On the other hand, non-devotee is also completely surprised to see a devotee being so. He said, no coffee, no tea, no onion, no garlic, no girlfriend. What is your life? We went for one program with Gokul Prabhu in one place in Salem. So Prabhu was giving class, and then one elderly gentleman. So he was that class. He was speaking about Vishayavini Vartante Niraharasya Dehina, and he was building up, explaining how we don't. He was explaining that we have sumptuous prasadam. We have varieties of prasadam. We have this very tasty prasadam. We take fruit salad. We take dosas, puris, paneer sabji. All those things he was explaining. And if we don't eat no onion, no garlic, no intoxication, no coffee, no tea, then what do you do? That person got really got little bit, what do you eat? We have so many things to eat. But they have so much, you can't understand, you can't perceive. We invited him, please come to our temple, come for the festival. But there are many people From that program, they started coming for our festivals. They liked our prasadam. Who will not like the prasadam? But the point is, they could not perceive, they could not understand. So this is the whole thing. So a man of knowledge, this is the whole point that I wanted to discuss, that a person who has got complete knowledge, he will be astonished by the foolishness of the other person. Remember the famous article Prabhupada wrote, who is crazy? So who is, devotees are crazy or materialists are crazy? Who is crazy? If you ask devotees will say this fellow is crazy, and they will say we are crazy. But who is crazy? Krishna knows. Anybody who denies the existence of Krishna, he is crazy. That's all. He's a rascal. Text 39. Neyam shobhishyate tatra yate dhaning gadadhara tvatpadair ankita bhati swalakshana vilakshitaihi. O Gadadhara, Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so. So here Kunti Maharani, she's again her expression of humility. She's meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna. Already she did. What was that? What was the meditation she had before? What was the verse? Yes. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangre. She just puts the lotus feet of her meditation of the lotus feet was a little late, and we know the reasons for that. She being her nephew, she didn't want to put Krishna in an embarrassment, so she started with the glorifying from his navel. But general process is we look at the lotus feet of the Lord. Now let us think a little bit about what is it that is so glorious about the lotus feet of the Lord? What is it that makes the Lord's lotus feet glorious? Any thoughts on that? Rather, we can see in the material world, feet. We don't say feet of someone. We don't say lotus feet of someone. I will say it's smelly feet of someone. The feet is, it's kind of dirty. Wherever we step, we have to clean it. It's part of the Vedic culture. Other culture, people have no clue. They just step on someone and then they go. They have no problem. Sometimes we just see in the modern culture, they have no etiquette. Even some decent people, they know they will not step on someone. But generally, feet is considered very bad. You touch your feet, you have to wash your hands. And then you can see because of lack of training, people touch the feet, put the hand in the chanting bag, and then they turn the pages of the Bhagavatam. So many things are happening. There's no culture, but it's contaminated. It's completely contaminated. That's why you see when cooking is completed, and then you keep the pots after cooking. You keep the pots. Usually the place is clean with the cow dung. Everything is kept very clean. You don't want to put your feet there. While serving prasadam, also we clean the place nicely and we don't put our feet there. So these are all some of the things. So feet is considered anything actually below the lower part of the body. It's not considered super clean. So what is it that is glorifying the Lord's lotus feet so much? Why the Lord's lotus feet? That's one good point. The Lord's lotus feet gives us shelter. It frees us from fear. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Any other thought? Ganga originates from lotus feet of the Lord. Okay. Anything else? Why we glorify the lotus feet of the Lord? Okay, one other thought that this by in fact all the things in this world, everyone actually we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord because that is where we get the real shelter, and it also expresses our uttermost humility. See, usually we never want to touch anybody's feet, but devotees are so happy to touch the feet of the Lord, serve the feet of the Lord, and that puts us in a right frame of mind that we are always and we are the we are tiny jiva and we are always dependent on the Lord. We will see some more points. There are some reasons that is being given. We will just see that. Let's get into Prabhupada's part. But Srila Prabhupada says there are certain particular marks on the feet of the Lord which distinguish the Lord from others. The marks of the flat, thunderbolt, instrument for driving an elephant, umbrella, lotus, disc, etc. are on the bottom of the Lord's lotus feet. Now, elsewhere in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, I'm just going to read some sections. Every symbol that is there on the lotus feet of the Lord, it has got certain meaning. And we will just go through it quickly. These marks are impressed upon the soft dust of the land where the Lord traverses. The land of Hastinapura was thus marked while Lord Sri Krishna was there with the Pandavas, and the kingdom of the Pandavas thus flourished by such auspicious signs. Kunti Devi pointed out these distinguishing features and was afraid of ill luck in the absence of the Lord. So we can just see the devotees in Vrindavan, they were so much struck by the love of the Lord. They will see some marks of the Lord and they will just faint seeing it. They will be in separation and they will faint. There are quite some verses in the Bhagavatam which explains their intense devotion and their feeling of separation from the Lord. Okay, so some of the names for that's why the Lord is being lotus feet is glorified. Pada Padma, Charanaravinda, Padaravinda. One other point that we can understand is that the speciality of the Lord, his feature, is an amazing feature that the Lord has is that generally anything we wear, whatever we wear, some ornaments we wear, some chain we wear, some bangles we wear, what else? What other things? Whatever that we wear, usually when those things are worn, then it adds beauty to the person. But it's completely the other way around with the Lord. The ornaments get its beauty because it's being offered to the Lord. So that's some point which I was just discussing. Okay, now here is the quote. So that's the point. But it expresses our humility and sincere feeling to the Lord when we just start offering the lotus feet of the Lord. And another interesting point that we can think is that there is some speciality. The Lord, when He comes to this material world, He actually walks on the demigods. You know, all know about it, right? When demigods walk, they are always 1 feet above, or not 1 feet or whatever. I do not exactly. I don't want to speculate. Definitely, their feet is little above than the. They don't touch the ground. You know the famous incident also. So that's one thing. And there is one other nice explanation given in the Bhagavatam that when Krishna and Balaram they were walking, when they were walking from the earth, because Krishna's tender feet and Balaram's tender feet was so glorious, the grass is being compared to the hair of the earth, and it is raised. It's an ecstasy because Krishna has placed his feet on the earth. So Bhagavatam explains that. And we know other great devotees who are hankering for the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord. So a great devotee, Uddhava, what was his hankering? He hankered that let me be born as a grass in Vrindavan. Why? Because the Lord may trample the grass. No, that is not. These are the great devotees of the Lord, gopis. Their feet will touch and they will be so much purified. And what a great fortune to have that. So the Lord's lotus feet and the devotee's feet is again so much glorious. That's why whenever we address to our spiritual master, write a letter, we actually very humbly we present, please accept my humble obeisances unto your lotus feet. We are right like that. Somebody may write, please accept my humble obeisances also, but accepting the lotus feet. So that's the thing. So these are some points. So that's point we already discussed, that how the Lord is captured by the devotion of the Lord. And okay, this is the verse which explains about the various symbols that is there in the Lord. We will see that. Okay. Padani vyaktam etani nandasunor mahatmana lakshyante hi dvajamboja vajrangushayavadivihi. The marks of a flag, a lotus, a thunderbolt, an elephant, gourd, a barley corn, and so forth, on these footprints clearly distinguish them as belonging to that great soul, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary on this verse, gives the following scriptural information about the symbolic markings in the lotus feet of Krishna. In the following verses, the Skanda Purana states the particular places on his feet where Krishna carries the mark of the flag and also other marks and the reasons for these marks. It's very interesting. Please listen. At the base of the large toe on his right foot, the unborn Lord carries the mark of a disc, which cuts down the 6 enemies of his devotees. Then, at the bottom of the middle toe of that same foot, Lord Achyuta has a lotus flower, which increases the greed for him in the minds of the bee-like devotees who meditate on his feet. So this reference is from Padma Purana. At the base of his small toe is a thunderbolt which smashes the mountain of his devotees' reactions to past sins. And in the middle of his heel is the mark of an elephant goat which brings the elephants of his devotees' minds under control. This is what we need. Our mind has to be controlled. It's like a mad elephant. The joint of his right large toe bears the mark of a barley corn, representing all kinds of enjoyable opulences. A thunderbolt is found on the right side of his right foot and an elephant goat below that. The Acharyas of the Vaishnava Sampradaya explained that since the particular feet under discussion are Lord Krishna's, we should know that the thunderbolt is at the base of his small toe and the elephant goat below the thunderbolt. An elephant goat on the heel belongs rather to Lord Narayana and other Vishnu Tattva expansions. So like that, there are so many other explanations which gives the which shows the different marks on the lotus feet of the Lord. You can make a note of this purport. I have not read the entire thing. You can read it in your leisure. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 30, verse 25. And there is also further explanation given by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Vaishnava Toshani, in his commentary. I'm not going to get into it. Just to give you a hint that all the Acharyas have very nicely pointed out this. 10, 30, 25. Okay, so we saw another verse also that Kunti Maharani, she is offering her prayers. She says that, what she says, Padham Bujat, what is that verse? How does it? Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Abhikshtashaha Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Janaha Taeva Pashyan Tachrena Tavakam Bhava Pravaho Paramam Padam. So what is the result of Smarana on the Lord? What is the result of thinking of the Lord and engaging in His service? We will be able to see we'll be able to cross the Bhavasagara, and we will be able to, at the end, able to have darshan of His lotus feet, which is the perfection of our life. Ime jana pada sbradha supakvaushadi virudah vanadrinadyudan vanto yedante tava vikshitaihi. All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the oceans are full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them. Prabhupada's purport: human prosperity flourishes by natural gifts and not by gigantic industrial enterprises. Prabhupada many times used to say, right, you cannot eat bolts and nuts. So many times we say in Salem steel plant can produce bolts and nuts. We can't eat that. The gigantic industrial enterprises are products of a godless civilization, and they cause the destruction of the noble aims of human life. This is interesting. See what Prabhupada says here. The gigantic industrial enterprises are products of a godless civilization, and they cause the destruction of the noble aims of human life. What do you think are the noble aims of human life? You are an advanced devotee. Yeah, we could say that's okay. That's also to be happy. To be without suffering, to be happy. The noble aim of human life also is a good point, that keeping God in the center and becoming a devotee of the Lord, going back home, back to Godhead. What are the noble aims of human life can be?
Materially healthy life.
Yeah, pure life, engaging in the service of the Lord. So many things. All Krishna, whatever he speaks of knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita, all drives us towards the noble aim of human life. Okay. The more we go on increasing such troublesome industries to squeeze out the vital energy of the human being, the more there will be unrest and dissatisfaction of the people in general. Although a few only can live lavishly by exploitation. This is a very nice observation, how Prabhupada is putting. The more we are going to be entangled in this materialistic way of life, the modern life of trying to squeeze as much as possible. Actually, our vital energy is going to be squeezed. It's gone. Our time is wasted on so many unnecessary things. Remember the other day I was just sharing with you one incident where one of my friend was saying that so much of my energy I wasted in speaking about so many mundane things. As a teacher, I could have given the transcendental knowledge to many students. This is a very, I would say, even teacher as a teacher is definitely what is the use of speaking about Darwinian theory and other atheistic philosophies and follow the sampradaya of Shanda and Amarka and make a boy a demon. Glory is to give this message of Bhagavatam. That's the perfection of life. In fact, all schools should be changed to teach this philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam. That should be we should have a very powerful king who will impose this law. Otherwise, what is happening, as Prabhupada says here, the vital energy of human being is sucked. Vital energy of human being is just wasted on. You can see, when you see, so there is going to be a very big event, Olympics or a big cricket match, and you can see laborers. There will be some. Have you heard of floodlights? There are great saints sitting here. Anybody here knows what is a floodlight? See, now you have a light here. Like in the night time when they want to play, they have erected such a long, huge posts, and in that whole frame you can see there's 100 neon lights, all big lights, and then they are trying to simulate daytime. There is a craze for that. People are crazy for that. But when one of the filament or something, some bulb is not working there properly, then one fellow there will be a a crane, which will just go so up, so much. In some sophisticated countries, they have all latest equipments. Otherwise, they have so many different kinds of ladders and something. And the way the fellow will go and then fix it, you can see it's just literally is giving his life. And for what? Few 11 fools are playing, and for 11,000 fools to watch. Oh, how can you say like this? You don't have any rasa for this wonderful game of football and hockey and cricket. It's all what is useless rasa. Nonsense, actually. It's just at the end of the day, everything is fit for nothing. The useless and complete absurdity. That's what is going on in this modern lifestyle. And we can see also that they are building these skyscrapers, and how many laborers, how many people are risking their life for their food. Their vital energy is wasted on nothing. Then what to speak of your father will be able to say in the Arab countries, how many people they go for his oil excavation. We have one of our devotees who was right there in the middle of the sea, and he said that every day it's like life and death. They'll be doing his oil excavation. Such a great risk. Heavy ugra karma. It's completely your stable life is completely ruined by all these endeavors. Why do we need 24/7 support? Why do we need 365 days something to be working? Why we have created such an artificial situation? Progress, and in the name of progress we have just come down so much. Exactly, that's what has happened. Punar Mushiko Bhava, as Prabhupada says. Again, in the name of advancement in civilization, we have become lions and tigers and cats and dogs. This is what has happened. I heard that once Prabhupada he came for a Lions Club meeting, and then Prabhupada is addressing. It's such a great endeavor. You have got the human form of life. Now you all want to become lions. What is the point? This is the whole thing. Okay. The natural gifts such as grains and vegetables, fruits, rivers, the hills, full of jewels and minerals, and the seas, full of pearls, are supplied by the order of the Supreme. And as it desires, material nature produces them in abundance or restricts them at times. The natural law is that the human being may take advantage of these godly gifts of nature and satisfactorily flourish on them without being captivated by the exploitative motive of lording it over material nature. For those who have lived in the villages, those who have lived in the farms, they know what is this culture, what is a simple, peaceful life. Huh? Simply eating and sleeping. No, not that. The simple life is meant for higher thinking. We are not promoting simply eating and sleeping. We are promoting simple living at high thinking. Thinking of Krishna, thinking of saving the lives of conditioned souls by engaging them in devotional service. If we have sufficient grains, fruits, vegetables and herbs, then what is the necessity of running a slaughterhouse and killing poor animals? A man need not kill an animal if he has sufficient grains and vegetables to eat. The flow of river waters fertilizes the fields, and there is more than what we need. Minerals are produced in the hills and the jewels in the ocean. If the human civilization has sufficient grains, minerals, jewels, water, milk, etc., then why it should hanker after terrible industrial enterprises at the cost of the labor of some unfortunate men? But all these natural gifts are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. What we need, therefore, is to be obedient to the laws of the Lord and achieve the perfection of human life by devotional service. So this is the whole point. What do we need? We need to develop that obedience, the dependency on the Lord. That's what is the actual need. So that's why Bhakti-vaibhava Saraswati Thakur always used to say, what are we lacking? What is it that we are lacking in this world? Krishna, forgetfulness of Krishna. That is our actual problem. Right? If we remember Krishna, somehow or other, then our life becomes perfect. It's not that we have problems because of British rule, we have a lack of employment issues, we have a shortage of Krishna consciousness. If Krishna consciousness is there, then the Lord will glance in that particular place. And when the Lord glances, everything flourishes. Right? There will be a dharma established. Everything will be perfect. So Prabhupada makes a nice point here. He says, the indications by Kunti Devi are just to the point. She desires that God's mercy be bestowed upon them so that natural prosperity be maintained by His grace. So, Annad Bhavanti Bhutani Parjanyad Anna Sambhava. This is the whole point, right? So, we get grains due to rains, and rains are due to sacrifices. We engage in yajna. And once we engage in yajna, everything is perfect. Everything falls in place. So that's what Kunti is saying. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Ata visvesha vishvatman vishvamurte swakeshu me snehapasham imam chindi drudang pandushu vrishnishu. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. Now this is a very powerful prayer. Who can pray like this? Now also, this prayer also has to be understood in proper perspective. And also it shows the detachment of a pure devotee. And in fact, everyone who practices devotional service has to develop the sense of detachment. And we see that from all great Vaishnavas who they have shown in their life that at some point of time or right from the beginning, they have shown great attachment to the Lord. And due to that, detachment is not something difficult for them because of the strong absorption, because of their absorption in the service of the Lord, in His name, form and glories. Naturally they are detached. So, before we go to speak on this verse, there is one thought from the Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna is suggesting to Arjuna the ways of controlling the mind, he specifically points out one particular way how to control the mind. Any thoughts on this? Yes, Krishna says, when Arjuna posed the point that Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi bhalavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayu eva sudushkaram. When he said that, Krishna immediately responded, yes, he acknowledged, yes, very difficult to control the mind, very difficult to control the anchorings of the mind, no doubt about it. I acknowledge it. But it is possible by Vairagyena and Abhyasa. Abhyasena tu kaunteya Vairagyena cha grihyate. By developing Vairagya. Because without developing Vairagya, you can't make progress. And in fact, sense gratification and Krishna consciousness, they go yield together. Doesn't work out. So that point we have heard many times, but somehow or other this point we need mercy from the Lord. This point, many Krishna conscious points, actually, when we are proper attitude and we engage in the service of the Lord, it is very nice. Then that means that whatever that we hear, what happens? It comes to the ear, and then if it goes in, that is great. The problem is sometimes it just goes like that. Sometimes it goes like that. Sometimes it doesn't go inside at all. Even if it goes inside, it goes out like that. But if it just goes inside, for that we have to pray to the Lord. That this knowledge, whatever that we hear, whatever that we read, let me be purified by this. Whatever that we speak, it's all for purification. Purification means for pleasing Krishna. That's the whole point. And by that we become purified. The pure devotee of the Lord is ashamed to ask anything in self-interest from the Lord. So the point is that detachment has to be understood properly. But the householders are sometimes obliged to ask favors from the Lord, being bound by the tie of family affection. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact, and therefore she prayed to the Lord to cut off her affectionate tie to her own kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. This is little. Who will cut off the ties from Pandavas and Vrishnis? This is something appears a little strange, that she says that let me cut off my relationship with Pandavas and Vrishnis. Why I am saying it is a little strange? They are devotees of the Lord. Who would like to cut off their relationship with Pandavas? They are so pure devotees. So how to understand this? Okay, let's see what Prabhupada says. We'll get into that. The Pandavas are her own sons, and the Vrishnis are the members of her paternal family. Krishna was equally related to both the families. Actually, what is seen now? Krishna wants to leave to Dwaraka. So who are there in Dwaraka? Vrishnis are there. And here Pandavas are one side, requesting Krishna to be here. So Kunti's mind, Vrishnis, she is equally related to Vrishnis. She is also very closely intimately related to the Pandavas, because the Pandavas are her sons. And what is the situation now here? Now her mind is caught up between both of them. That's what Prabhupada is saying here, explaining here. Let's read that. Both the families required the Lord's help because both were dependent devotees of the Lord. Srimati Kunti Devi wished Sri Krishna to remain with her sons, the Pandavas, but by his doing so, her paternal house would be bereft of the benefit. All these partialities troubled the mind of Kunti, and therefore she desired to cut off the affectionate tie. Actually, this is one level. Actually, she herself is a pure devotee, but she's setting a standard here. How we have to be detached. This is she is not materially bound like others. She knows exactly who are the Pandavas, who are the Vrishnis. She knows about it. In spite of that, in the next verse you will see when the Acharyas are commenting and explaining that point. In spite of that, she is saying that I don't want the relationship should be based on the spirit. Our relationship should be based on the soul platform, not on the bodily platform, it should not be on the skin platform. That is what is the point is being driven here. Okay. A pure devotee cuts off the limited ties of affection for his family and widens his activities of devotional service for all forgotten souls. If you see, if we have affection or our affection to even spiritual circles, affection should be based on what? On proper siddhanta, proper understanding of the devotee's relationship with the Supreme Lord, proper sambandha jnana should be there. Not completely sentimental bodily affection, that's not encouraged. That will not last. We will not be able to appreciate that relationship also. Just take an example of a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. After Srila Prabhupada departed from this world, after his past time of leaving this world, his sons, they put a court case saying that Srila Prabhupada was, this is a business venture of Srila ISKCON is a business venture of Srila Prabhupada, and actually the entire property of ISKCON and all the money should be transferred to me. And they filed a case, and the case was also accepted, and the case went on for some time, and then the case was defeated. But the point is what I'm saying, just on the bodily relationship, you can't perform an activity. That's not proper. So it should be backed up by proper understanding. So Prabhupada gives some examples here. He says, a pure devotee cuts off the limited ties of affection for his family. And we read this. The typical example is the bond of the 6 Goswamis who followed the path of Lord Chaitanya. All of them belong to the most enlightened and cultured rich families of the higher caste. But for the benefit of the mass of population, they left their comfortable homes and became mendicants. You see? The Goswamis themselves showed example. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, he showed example that for higher mission, one has to take up a role of renunciant. For what? For establishing Krishna consciousness, for a higher purpose. To cut off all family affection means to broaden the field of activities. So cutting off family affection means what? Actually affection is a natural thing for us. We can't just cut off them. Emotions are there, affections are there, that we cannot totally cut it off. But actually we are widening it by having a bigger family. Not only this particular soul in this particular body of a male and particular body of a female, like our mother and father, but we are just seeing a Vasudeva Kutumbakam, bigger family. And a devotee works for a bigger family. And doesn't mean that he just mistreats his parents or his relatives. He sees them, everyone as servants of the Lord, and then he respects them accordingly. That understanding is there. Similarly, it may be his spouse, it may be his wife or children. He is just seeing what will be the proper action by which they will be benefited. So sometimes they may ask for something, they may push them for something, but he knows maybe this is not good for them. This particular move is not good for them. They may not be able to understand. But as a sober person, he knows what is good for them. Like a teacher knows what is good for the student. Like a father knows what is good for the young boy. So he may request, he may ask something, but he knows what will be really beneficial. Like a doctor knows exactly what medicine to give. Similarly, a devotee who is matured, he can understand what is good. And sometimes cutting off will help. Sometimes, so he sees the situation and he acts properly. So here the main point that is being stressed here is that just because of some blind attachment, that should not be a stumbling block in our progress to Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we see the devotion of the family members will be tested when sometimes Guru orders such and such a boy or such and such a devotee to join the Hare Krishna temple. Then we will see what is the situation. One devotee wanted the son to come back to the house, saying that I can't live without him. He said, I can't be separated from him. It's impossible. I can't lead my life. I will faint. I am getting heart attack. All those things. So that boy was pushed, and then he came back home. And then later he found some job in US. And after he found some job in the US, mother was okay. Boy is working in US. Everything is fine. Why? Because such a powerful attachment. So, and we can see but in the West, it's a different scenario. West, generally, the attachment you don't see that. They are just. That's why you can see the families are not so stable there. So Prabhupada did observe that in the West. But see, the family affection brings in one thing. What it brings in is a stability in the society. But at the same time, if it is not done with proper understanding, the same thing in the name of peaceful life, they're peacefully engaged in what? Peacefully engaged in sense gratification. This is what is going on. Okay? We have to transcend that. Okay? So many different kinds of attachments. People have attachments to sports, people have attachment to particular habits of their particular culture. In India, devotees are, difficult for me to relate to you, but in general, I can just say that in India, many of the modern youth and even the last 30 years, many people are attached to sports, specifically cricket. They are mad after that. Recently, one devotee was explaining me that his father, he's now started practicing Krishna consciousness, just beginning to read books and this and that. But whenever a match happens, it's like intoxicant. Hand freezes, and then when he wants to just turn the channel, he wants to watch the cricket match. Such an attachment. Similarly, in the West, devotees are so much attached to football. One sannyasi came to give a class in one temple, and suddenly the temple there are hardly 2-3 devotees. He was wondering what is going on. Why there is a football finals match. So half the devotees are not there. Everybody has got different kinds of attachment because of different backgrounds, different proclivities. But as Prabhupada said, if we want to leave this material world, even we have to be ready to sacrifice the lower 10 desires and take up the higher desire, which is higher taste, which is there in Krishna consciousness. So we remember this famous statement Prabhupada says, even if you are attached to gulab jamun, you may have to be born in this material world. Okay, so that's another point to remember. So Prabhupada says here, to cut off all family affection means to broaden the field of activities. Without doing this, no one can be qualified as a Brahmana, a king, a public leader, or a devotee of the Lord. The personality of Godhead as an ideal king showed this by example. Sri Ramachandra cut off the tie of affection for his beloved wife to manifest the qualities of an ideal king. Such personalities as a Brahmana, a devotee, a king, or a public leader must be very broad-minded in discharging their respective duties. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact. Being weak, she prayed to be free from such bondage of family affection. The Lord is addressed as the Lord of the universe, or the Lord of the universal mind, indicating his all-powerful ability to cut the hard knot of family affection. Isn't it interesting? No? Why she is addressing as Vishwamurte? Ata Visvesha Vishwa Atman Vishwamurte. So she is just calling the Lord. Lord, you have all the powers. Only by your mercy it is possible. Otherwise it's so difficult. And you can see the devotee of the Lord is also very merciful. The Lord is very merciful. The devotee of the Lord is also very merciful. Sometimes, out of force, he makes someone surrender to the Lord. Because the particular devotee is weak. He's not able to take the step ahead. He's not able to put the feet in the front. Sometimes the devotee takes risks. He pushes him. Chalo. Dedicate your life to Krishna's service. How many lifetimes you have engaged your senses and mind in the service of others? 84 lakh species of life you have engaged in so many different kinds of relationships. This one lifetime give for Krishna. So that is the mercy of the pure devotee. And then he gets some strength. And then he just comes forward. So Prabhupada points out that in his purport. Prabhupada says, therefore it is sometimes experienced that the Lord, out of his special affinity towards a weak devotee, breaks the family affection by force of circumstances arranged by his all-powerful energy. By doing so, he causes the devotee to become completely dependent on him and thus clears the path for his going back to Godhead. Yeah, there are some verses which explains that the devotee of the Lord is very dear to the Lord. Here she is asking, please cut my relationship. So we can see Krishna himself says that my devotee is very dear. He is more dear than myself, more dear than Lakshmi Devi, Balaram. Here, what else? Atma Yoni, Brahma. My devotee is even you are specifically addressing Uddhava. So the devotee is very dear to the Lord. So that's what I was saying, that Kunti is aware of that, but she's only speaking about attachment, material bondage. That you please cut off. In the next verse it will be more clear. Okay. We need a point to clarify. So sometimes we see some people may say that Krishna is partial, a devotee is partial, but we already discussed about this point. That Krishna is we can say he is partial, yes, for those who come forward to him, come forward to serve him, come forward to please him. Yes, he tries to please them. Otherwise, He is Upadrashta Hanumanta. He doesn't involve, okay, you want to do something on your own. He is little aloof, watching. Samana Vrikshe Purusho Nimagno. Remember the verse in the tree, there are two parrots or two birds sitting in the tree. One bird is happily enjoying the fruits of the tree, relishing the fruits of the tree. Another bird, what it is doing? Just simply watching. When this bird will turn towards myself. So like the Lord is like that. So, but for those who want to come forward and serve the Lord is very pleased. And it appears that He is partial. Okay, so this is the whole point. So unless we have proper knowledge, we will not be able to cut this attachment, not only for the family, but for this material world, for our crazy habits. Vidyate hridaya granthis chidyante sarva samshayaha. That's the whole point. So how that cutting can happen? The cutting can happen only by the mercy of the pure devotee of the Lord. All our petty attachments we will be able to give up by developing a higher taste. And we need to work for that. Not that just, somebody comes and touches, puts a hand on our head and then everything happens. No. We have to strive for it. We have to try to consciously try to control our senses and mind, engage in devotional service of the Lord, push ourselves, sweat ourselves, constantly hankering for the mercy of the Lord. In this way, the Lord and His devotee being pleased, we will be able to overcome the condition. And we can see throughout Prabhupada's way of dealing with the devotees, right from the beginning, there was no sentimentalism. Prabhupada was very specific. He actually, what Srila Prabhupada did? Prabhupada did trick people in the beginning. We had an excellent system by which, he was offering everyone nice prasadam. And then, there was a lot of kirtan, prasadam. And then after that, when they showed little interest, he said, okay, now sit down. Here's the lecture. They were hearing Prabhupada's class, and Prabhupada was explaining philosophy. We are not this body, we are spirit, soul, we are eternal servant of Krishna. Life is to please Krishna, and we get happiness by serving Krishna. And those who heard this, those who tried it, they were able to experience it in the mercy of Prabhupada. And they could see they were able to accomplish unimaginable feats, unimaginable activities. Okay. Let's go to the next verse. Tvaimēnanya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udvahatad adha gange vaugam mudanvati. O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Perfection of is a very wonderful prayer. How our mind should just flow to we engage in devotional service. Perfection of pure devotional service is a time when all attention is diverted towards the transcendental loving service of the Lord. To cut off the tie of all other affections does not mean complete negation of the finer elements like affection for someone else. This is not possible. See, that is why the devotional process of devotional service is so so lively. It's very happily performed. Our process is not this neti. They don't have any positive way of this is not God, this is not God, this is not God, this is everything. They just try to cut off this so-called jnana process. They do not know what is exactly. They go by negation. So Prabhupada points out that there is no complete negation of the finer elements like affection for someone else. This is not possible. The living being, whoever he may be, must have this feeling of affection for others because this is a symptom of life. Thinking, feeling, willing, isn't it? The symptoms of life such as desire, anger, hankerings, feelings of attraction, etc. cannot be annihilated. Only the objective has to be changed. Desire cannot be negated, but in devotional service the desire is changed only for the service of the Lord in place of desire for sense gratification. The so-called affection for family, society, country, etc. consists of different phases of sense gratification. See how Prabhupada is putting it. The so-called affection for family, society, country, etc. consists of different phases of sense gratification. That's why, I'm an altruist, I'm a salvationist, I'm greatest social service, social reformer. Everything is different levels of sense gratification. That's all. Everything is seen from the lens of I, me, mine. This is my country, this is my language, this is my community, this is my I, me, mine. This is how he looks at it. That's why special affection for some particular community, special affection for particular class of people. So all extension of I, me, mine. This is the philosophy. That's what Prabhupada is pointing out here. The so-called affection for family, society, country, etc. consists of different phases of sense gratification. When this desire is changed for the satisfaction of the Lord, it is called devotional service. In the Bhagavad Gita, we can see that it was just to satisfy his personal desires that Arjuna refused to fight with his brothers and relations. But when he heard the message of the Lord, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he changed his decision and served the Lord. And for his doing so, he became a famous devotee of the Lord. For it is declared in all the scriptures that Arjuna attained spiritual perfection by devotional service to the Lord in friendship. The fighting was there, the friendship was there, Arjuna was there, and Krishna was there. But Arjuna became a different person by devotional service. Therefore, the prayers of Kunti also indicate the same categorical changes in activities. Srimati Kunti wanted to serve the Lord without diversion, and that was her prayer. So this is the main aspect. Her intention was to completely engage in the Lord's service. This unalloyed devotion is the ultimate goal of life. Our attention is usually diverted to the service of something which is non-godly or not in the program of the Lord. When the program is changed into the service of the Lord, and that is to say, when the senses are purified in relation with the service of the Lord, it is called pure unalloyed devotional service. So what is what's the definition? Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. That's what Prabhupada is pointing out here. Srimati Kunti Devi wanted that perfection and prayed for it from the Lord. Her affection for the Pandavas and the Vrishnis is not out of the range of devotional service because the service of the Lord and the service of the devotees are identical. See, this point, Prabhupada is clarifying it very clearly. So, the service to the Lord and the service to the devotees are identical. Whereas we are not speaking Mayavadi here, devotee and God, everyone is same. No. But a devotee is as good as the Lord because he is very dear to the Lord. He is an intimate servant of the Lord. His desire is Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam Sadhavo Hridayam Tvaham. Madanyat Navi Jhananti Naham Tebhyo Madhagam. The devotee in his heart, Krishna is there. The heart of Krishna, devotee is there. So, how can Kunti totally reject Pandavas and the Vrishnis? No, she is explaining only the familial tie, any attachment. If you see that I have, actually she is not, she is relating to them exactly on the pure platform. By that we are getting a lesson how we should deal in our life. But here the affection of Kunti Devi for the Pandavas and Vrishnis was due to a family relation. This type of affection in terms of material relation is the relation of Maya because the relations of the body or the mind are due to the influence of the external energy. Relations of the soul established in relation with the Supreme Soul are factual relations. When Kunti Devi wanted to cut off the family relation, she meant to cut off the relation of the skin. You see, Prabhupada is clarifying it. So we should have proper understanding. The skin relation is the cause of material bondage, but the relation of the soul is the cause of freedom. This relation of the soul to the soul can be established with the medium of the relation with the super soul. Perfectly Prabhupada concluded this purpose. He says, so our relationship is based on what? Our relationship is based on the relationship of that particular soul who is related to Krishna. We see him as a servant of Krishna. That's how the head of the family also sees. I've got a wife, she is servant of the Lord, children are servant of the Lord, so let me help them to engage in the service of the Lord. This is the Manasa Deho Geho Jo Kichumor Arpilu Tuvapade Nanda Kishore. Bhakti-vaibhava Course is such an example. So what he does, he engages everyone in Krishna's service. We should engage in Krishna's service, we should engage others in Krishna's service. That is proper consciousness. Now, let's see a nice conversation between Sri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. He is putting forward the conversation between Kunti and same point. Prabhupada very nicely concluded, same point is discussed there. Then, do you want, so now, Lord is asking, you want to cut off your relationship from Pandavas and Vrishnis? Then, do you want realization of Brahman? Because if you cut your affection for the Yadavas, you will cut your affection for me also, Krishna says. You want to cut, then what am I doing there? So now, Kunti, she is saying, may my mind hold affection for you, Udvahata, Rati, without any obstacle. Udvaha means to flow strongly. The mind should not think of anything else. Ananya Vishaya. Your devotees are non-different from you, and thus without affection for them, affection for you cannot take place. So she says, I acknowledge it, I know it. It is not possible that this could please you. This I know. Therefore, let my mind have attraction for no one except you and your devotees. She is clarifying. I want my affection to be for you and your devotees. I pray to cut affectionate bonds with the Pandavas and Yadavas who are your devotees. But since it is a prayer in front of you, it means cutting only the material affection which arises from bodily identification. Not on the spiritual platform. It is not cutting the affectionate relation with you. I want to cut off that affection which causes bondage. So sometimes we may be given a task by our authority, by our guru. Go and then preach in Sri Lanka. Go and preach in Sweden. Go and preach in Jharkhand. Some place we will be sent. But oh, you are there, he is there, everyone is there, how do I go? You have a mission to accomplish. And we will not be able to understand that now. We will be able, if we are sincere, if we are straight forward, we are honest, we have faith in the words of the spiritual master, we will be able to understand after some years when we sincerely practice Krishna consciousness. You understand? At this point of time, you will not be able to get it what it is. You remember when we were saying the memories when Harikesh Swami, Harikesh Prabhu, he says that I couldn't understand. Prabhupada just sent me off from his service. He was doing personal service to Prabhupada. Prabhupada sent him off. And then after several years, he himself says, then I understood later. So many books he printed in so many European languages. Many books were printed and it was distributed. And the Krishna consciousness flourished in Russia and other European places. It's all because of Prabhupada's instruction. And he feels for it. So, affection should be on the spiritual platform. Difficult sometimes, but that's how the Krishna consciousness movement spread. You think if everybody was sitting with Prabhupada, what would have happened? Prabhupada, I can't miss you. We can't miss Prabhupada. We have to be with Prabhupada. Well, that is also there. But Guru's instruction is more important than his physical presence. So this is on Brahmachari ashram in that platform. Now in the family life also, same thing. The father or mother should see what is good for the child. Attachment, sending him to serve Krishna, that is the proper attitude of a mother or father. At least he has to be exposed, he has to be given the Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, in the name of attachment, we are actually spoiling the lives of our children. So, here Kunti Maharani is setting such an example. She is offering a prayer. My dear Lord, please cut off our attachment. Sometimes because of attachment, we will not allow the child to make progress. They may say, make some mistake, but because of affection, we will just ignore it. But that correction at that point of time is helping the child so much to make progress. Same job the teacher also has got to do. He has to chastise his disciples. He has to chastise his students. Same thing Guru does with his disciples. Because that is for the betterment of the children. Not blind affection will not help. Or you cannot be sentimental. Oh, if I say something, then he will misunderstand me. I will not be able to have that relationship. But it's for his betterment, it's for his good. Remember that how this one Madhva Pandit, he explained that my father used to chastise me heavily when I was a child. He used to beat me to learn Vishnu Sahasranama properly. And because of him, I'm able to learn so many verses. I'm able to understand. I'm eternally indebted to him. You see? That's the point. Okay. But since it is a prayer in front of you, it means cutting only the material affection which arises from bodily identification. It is not cutting the affectionate relation with you. I want to cut that affection which causes bondage. Just as the Ganga carries a full stream of water to the ocean, the shelter of small and large rivers may my mind also carry its affection to you, who are the shelter of all the devotees. Just as the Ganga does not consider any obstacles on its course, my mind also should not consider any obstacles that may rise while thinking of you. So this is the glorious prayer of Kunti. Now, one more point to remember and understand. We can even see the prayer of Uttara. When you see prayer of Uttara, there is nothing material in that. We already discussed that point. See, her intention was to protect the descendant. A few devotees going to descend. So her prayer is also equally worth appreciating. Why? Because that was her motive. Her motive was not on the bodily platform. Similarly, that's the motive here of the devotee. So by the okay, I want to talk these points. Okay, fine. Okay, so that's what we understand. So we have to give up our material relationship and then identify everything with the spiritual relationship that we have with the Lord, Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, now let's go to text 43. Sri Krishna Krishna Saka Vrishtir Shabhavani Drug Rajanya Vanshadahanana Pavarga Virya Govinda Godvija Surarti Haravatara Yogeshwara Kila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. O Krishna, O friend of Arjuna, O chief amongst the descendants of Vrishni, you are the destroyer of those political parties which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your prowess never deteriorates. You are the proprietor of the transcendental abode, and you descend to relieve the distresses of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. You possess all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are the Almighty God, and I offer you my respectful obeisances. A summary of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is made herein by Srimati Kunti Devi. The Almighty Lord has his eternal transcendental abode where he is engaged in keeping Surabhi cows. So immediately what she addresses first, she is saying Sri Krishna, Krishna Saka. Why she is not saying Arjuna Saka? She is saying Krishna Saka. Huh? Yes, because he also has the Draupadi also has got a little blackish form. Krishna also has got a black. Arjuna also, it is said that is referred to as Krishna, and so he is referred as Krishna Saka. Okay, let's proceed with the purport. He is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. He descends to the material world to reclaim his devotees and to annihilate the disturbing elements. So Suravatara, that's what already she is summarizing all these things with putting beautiful names, in calling out with nice names on Krishna. He descends to the material world to reclaim his devotees and to annihilate the disturbing elements amongst the groups of political parties and kings who are supposed to be in charge of administration work. He creates, maintains, and annihilates by his unlimited energies, and still is always full with prowess and does not deteriorate in potency. So, although the Lord does everything, he creates, he maintains, and annihilates, still is unlimited with his energies. So, which is explained in the invocation to the Ishopanishad also. Om Purnamata Purnamadam Purnat Purnamudachyate. So whatever that emanates from him, whatever that is coming out of the Lord, still he remains the complete whole. So that is his glory. So Kunti Maharani is acknowledging that. The cows, the brahmanas, the devotees of the Lord are all objects of his special attention because they are very important factors for the general welfare of all living beings. So Anapavarga Virya. So that's what Prabhupada is addressing in this purport, that the Lord his strength doesn't diminish, his energies doesn't diminish because that is his potency. And he is a protector of cows and the herder and all the herder of the cows also. He giving them protection. Okay. Okay, there are some of the points. I don't have much time, so let me just continue. So after having offered all the entire prayers, the Lord was so pleased with Kunti. So we can see the smile in the face of the Lord. So that is the perfection of our life. If we can see the smile in the face of our spiritual master and the Supreme Lord, for us also, if our spiritual master smiles, we should Prabhupada smiles. So that is what should be our goal of life. Here, after Kunti offered their prayers, Sutta Goswami is saying that the Lord, thus hearing the prayers of Kunti Devi, composed in choice words for his glorification, mildly smiled. That smile was as enchanting as his mystic power. You see in this verse, there's two words being used: Mohayan, Maya. What is the problem for us? We are also in Moha, being impelled by Maya. But what is this Moha and Maya? What is this Moha and Maya which Sutta Goswami is speaking about? Yeah, the Lord is completely enchanted. The Lord is bewildered and is smiling. He is so happy with his devotees' glorious prayers. And now the Lord is so proper, says, Srimati Kunti Devi has prayed to the Lord just to enunciate a fragment of His glories. No amount of chosen words is sufficient to enumerate the Lord's glories, and yet He is satisfied by such praise that the Father is satisfied even with the broken linguistic attempts of the growing child. That's a nice example Prabhupada is saying. The child may try to give something to the Lord, it may not be able to the Father. The child will not be able to use the proper words and say something, but even the child says few words, then the Father is in great bliss, ecstasy overflows. We saw one devotee's son often brings the kartal and then saying, Ade kitna Prabhu, Ade kitna. He says like that. More than the child, the father is in great ecstasy. Oh, he's saying Hare Krishna. He just started speaking few words, broken words. Okay, see, this is what Srila Vishwanath Thakur also makes the point. Prabhupada pointed out here. The Lord was bewildered not by material maya, but by prema. So this is what should happen to, ultimately it should happen to us. We should not be bewildered by maya, but we should be bewildered by prema. Yeah, so when Krishna smiles, then what happens? Everybody gets bewildered by his smile, because there is such a potency in his smile. When he plays flute, everybody is bewildered. When he smiles, when he speaks, whatever his activities, everyone is completely enamored by that. That's what is required. So that's the whole point. So we want bewilderment of Maya or bewilderment of our Lord's abode and his potencies. Okay, so now after having this situation has happened, now the Lord to increase. Now what happened? Now the Lord is thinking. Yeah, even then the Lord is thinking. Okay, shall I proceed towards Dwaraka now? When he's thinking like that, now again we can see another feature that the Lord is Bhakta Vatsala. He is completely controlled by the devotee. Yudhishthira comes and then he is persuading the Lord. My dear Lord, please don't go anywhere. Please stay with us. We need some more days. Then devotee can never be satisfied by the Lord's presence. Devotee will never say, okay, enough, he will never say, because he wants the Lord's association with his pure devotees. So we can see here that Yudhishthira with great love and affection coming and then requesting the Lord to stay with them for some more time. And now the Lord also is using this opportunity to enhance the glory of his devotee. So now seeing Yudhishthira, now he is putting Yudhishthira into bewilderment. Like how he put Arjuna into bewilderment to speak the Bhagavad Gita, he put Yudhishthira into bewilderment, and Yudhishthira had heard all the teachings from Vyasa and he knows all the scriptural teachings. But now Yudhishthira gets into such a bewilderment, he starts lamenting for whatever act he has performed, killing all the soldiers and so many animals and Yudhishthira is completely bewildered and is suffering because of that situation, and he acts himself to be lamenting. And Krishna gives some instructions, but nothing is getting into the head of Yudhishthira. And now Krishna has a plan. He wants to bring the glory of Bhishma Dev. And he knew that Bhishma is about to leave, Uttarayan is about to happen, and he wants the Lord to be in his presence. So he made Bhishma glorious by giving instructions to Yudhishthira and glorifying him by giving him profound instructions. He made him speak the Vishnu Sahasranama, he made him speak profound instructions on Varnashrama, which you will be hearing in the upcoming classes on the glory of Bhishma's prayers. And so that's what happened. And also, there is one instructing very nice verse where Yudhishthira is pointing out that what is this body? This body is actually meant to serve others, but I have misused it. So he says that this body, when it is present, it is meant to serve others. When it is even after death, it is meant to be enjoyed by the vultures, or it will be eaten by the worms. So all this very amazing lecture by Prabhupada on the particular verse. We don't have much time to discuss on that. So you can read that. But also Prabhupada speaks about how we are actually meant to serve others. Even if you think I am this body, I, me, mine, we think, but actually we are meant to serve others. But the proper mood of serving others is attained when we pranair arthair diyavach ashrayaha acharanam sada. So how does the verse begin? Etavat janma sabalyam dehinam iha dehishu pranair arthair diyavach. So the perfection of life we can attain when we with our body, mind, words, intelligence, if we engage in the welfare of others. Welfare of others means what? Not doing mundane service, but helping others to think of Krishna, serving Krishna. So that's the culmination of this chapter. So we see here Krishna further gives instruction to Yudhishthira to be patient and then to hear from the scriptures and also the teachings. Now Krishna particularly takes him. Even then other rishis, others are also giving advice to Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira is not so much convinced. So he's going to take him to the arena where Bhishma Dev is lying down and he's going to help him to further make this pastime so that everybody will be benefited by the prayers that will be offered by Bhishma. And also he wants to glorify Bhishma by that. So we will stop here. If you have any questions or comments or realizations, any other thoughts? Yeah, I know we have. Yes, go.
So here we saw Srimati Kunti Devi, she is praying, please cut off my affection for Vrishnis and Pandavas.
Yes.
And Prabhupada is mentioning that if Krishna is not going to Dwaraka, Vrishnis will feel difficulty, they will have distress. If he's going to Dwaraka, Pandavas will have the difficulty. So Kunti Devi is saying, please cut off the affection.
Yeah.
But in the previous verses we saw she is so much emphasizing the Lord to stay with them.
Yes.
So it's how to understand.
Yeah, that's what we discussed about that. Yeah, on one hand, she is glorifying those devotees. She is fully aware that they are the devotees of the Lord. That's what we saw in the commentary. That she is very clear that they are devotees of the Lord and they have to be served. Without serving the devotees, the Lord is not going to be pleased. At the same time, she is expressing the point that any kind, if at all, there can be. Actually, she is not having any kind of bodily concept of life or anything like that. But using this, it's a kind of a lesson that we have an opportunity to learn by Kunti's prayer. She's saying that I don't want any kind of relationship based on any kind of I don't want to get into any kind of dualities based on the bodily relationship. So let my mind be completely focused on you, in your service, focused in your thoughts of you. That's why she's offering Ata Visvesha Vishwatman Vishwamurtis Sneha Pasam. Then what she says? Gange Vaugham Udanvati. She says that let my mind be Tvaime Ananya Vishaya Matir Madhupades. Let my mind be completely absorbed in this. Let me not get caught into this duality. So that's what she's hinting that. But as we can see, that the Acharyas are commenting, Prabhupada is also saying that she is aware of it. That how can I cut off my relationship with devotees? So the point is emphasized here. Let it be on the platform of the soul. Let it be on the platform of the relationship. Any soul that he has for the Lord should be on the platform of the soul, not on any kind of mundane platform. So she is clarifying that. She's emphasizing the principle of pure devotion. That's what we understand.
I'm requesting you to stay here in Hastinapur, but not because of bodily relation.
No, that's also, there is also, a kind of a rasa is there, that obviously anybody will ask the favor of the Lord to stay here, because they are so much intimately associated with the Lord, they don't want to leave the Lord at any point of time. So that has overpowered in that situation. But at the same time, because her situation is very unique, she's just not on the Pandava side. Although if you see after marriage, what happens generally, when a girl is married, her relationship is totally on the husband's side. Okay, she don't much. Not that totally she's cut off, but still everything she will see from the perspective of the husband's side. But here Kunti, so she's just showing that she's thinking of that side also. She's thinking this side also. So a kind of a little bit of a bewilderment, and so she's thinking, okay, let me not get carried away, like what she's saying. But it's again an expression of devotion that we can see with her. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.